it. We have Christopher, he, him, out in California, wants to talk to us about a revelation that they got from God himself. So, hey, Christopher, you're chatting with SR and Armin on Atheist Experience. What is up?
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Very good. So just a quick background. I actually was atheist up until about a month ago. I actually used to watch the Atheist Experience all the time since 2010. I used to love watching Matt and stuff, just bash people. It was fun.
Cool.
I was a philosophy major in college and stuff. So yeah, I understand everything. I know all the arguments, pretty much all the arguments against God and all the problems with religion. No problem.
Awesome.
That's
so
my little tale that I'm about to tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to try to make this as productive as possible for the three of us as well as all of our audience. I'm going to go ahead and say something, and it might sound a little harsh, Christopher, okay? But just go with me here for a second. I don't think we need to hear the details of what occurred in this particular event for you. I am willing to grant that whatever you say happened to the fullest extent of the possibility of it happening, right? I'm on board with you. I think the more important thing, especially if you were somebody who did not believe in a deity, why did this experience make you believe in a deity? I think that might be the most interesting portion of it and might be the place where we can really kind of hash out our disagreement and understand each other a bit more. Do you think that's fair?
I perfectly understand where you're coming from. Normally, I would have, as I've been explaining my story to everybody, I like telling them from the start. Normally, though, because you'll hear my sincerity, and it's very detailed. I remember.
I'm granting that you're sincere, Christopher. I think you're telling me the freaking God's honest truth, to steal the phrase. I fully believe that, man. I don't think you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes or just troll or anything. I mean, maybe you are, but I always try to give the benefit of the doubt to people, and I think us going through a detailed story about, man, I saw this thing, or like I heard this voice, or I had this feeling. I don't know that is particularly the most interesting part, because I think you would probably grant that Armin and I have had similar experiences in the past. Other people have similar experiences. The crux of the issue is, why is that experience indicative of a deity, and specifically indicative of your deity?
I understand what you're saying. So
yeah.
Let's say this. I did not believe the experience myself. I thought I was shocked because of something that did happen. I worked in an auditorium going to break down a setup for an event that occurred. There's 2 storage room doors in a storage room. As soon as I approached the doors to the auditorium, I hear a loud bang. When I plant both feet, loud bang. I'm thinking that the people from the previous group in there are moving stuff out of the storage room, something large, right? Makes sense.
Sure.
So I opened the door cautiously. I looked through. From my perspective, I could see one of the 2 storage room doors. The storage room door that I'm referring to is a huge, heavy mechanical storage door, kind of like a garage door, but extremely heavy. Part of the auditorium part of the door in the midsection had pushed itself out somehow from the alignment that it is. So it's pushed outward towards, the outside of the door. It's bouncing up and down like some poltergeist shit. I mean, it was like it was trying to play Meshuggah. It's all over the place. I'm like, okay. And the first thing I think to myself is, oh, a ghost. Almost jokingly to myself. Like, if somebody saw that, they would say, they would say that. And I'm about to whip out my camera just to film it. And I'm like, that's so stupid. It's probably something obvious, right? So I just quietly head down there and I expect to see somebody. I look around the whole auditorium. No one's there. I still looking at this door. It's starting to bang out from every section. There's no wind. It's pretty silent. I don't know what quiet elephant is behind there pushing this out, because that should not be possible. I'm thinking somebody's behind the storage door doing something. I'm thinking my coworker didn't say anything about any maintenance or anything going on in the storage room. Both storage room doors are closed. To get to the mechanical storage door, you have to open the smaller manual storage door. It's closed. Why would both of them be closed? Secondly, I could see behind the mechanical storage door that's being protruding now. It's completely dark in there. Why would maintenance or anybody be in the room in the dark? And what are they doing to this door in the first place? As I make my way down, I'm in the midsection of the auditorium now. I get a really bad feeling that what I'm seeing is not normal. I pull out my phone to start to text message my coworker, about to ask him, hey, who's in the storage room? Suddenly I get like a half second of extreme fear and I'm about to run out. Suddenly my focus just goes on the storage door. It's flopping, it's beginning to flop out. Like I cannot explain what is doing it. I start walking towards the storage door. I'm like now in flight. I need to know what's going on here. As I get to like a nearer point, because the setup of the chairs is in 3 large rows. I'm finally entering the last row of chairs. It then begins to intensify with each foot I make towards it.
Can we just okay, something that seems impossible to happen happened. That's the summary of every single one of these stories. Like we don't really I see now why I really was interested in hearing it, but now I see why Elliot wanted to stop you, because these are all the same. They're all the same. The summary of it, something that you consider impossible to happen, you witnessed from happening, okay? How does that get us to God?
I had visions afterward. I'm trying to explain the reality of what was happening versus what I thought was happening in my mind. Makes sense, right? I'm trying to be
doesn't matter
about it. I didn't just come to a conclusion.
You're not being logical about it. It's weird that you think this is like has anything to do with God after saying that you have watched so many of these shows and you understand everything. You don't seem to even understand the basics. How does this get to God?
No,
that connection, Christopher, I think is really, like I was saying at the beginning, I think that's the crux of this for all 3 of us, to be honest, because at the end of the day, if you tell me a story where, I don't know, you were just like washing your feet one day and then you saw a vision, like that's cool, man. But actually that information is not particularly relevant. What's relevant is why that experience, whatever it is, would lead you to accepting the claim, it's from a God, or there is a God, or it's my God, or whatever in that category. So like I am so on board, man. This is a crazy thing. Absolutely. It had a massive impact on you. Totally, totally cool. You had visions afterwards about it that were unexplained. You couldn't figure it out. No worries. I think you're being completely genuine. Okay. But what I'm interested in mostly, because this is really where the rubber meets the road, why do those experiences make you convert to a belief in God? You said you were an atheist. I'm assuming you mean I didn't believe a God existed or could send messages to people up until then. Now you do. Is it simply because you had that experience, or is there something about that experience that exclusively points to God?
All right. So I approach the door. I hear a voice. That
no, wait. No, we don't. Okay, you're just going to keep going. Is it ever going to get beyond something that cannot happen, eyewitness happening? We don't care about you going us and keep. This is getting boring, and you act like you have something special for us. You know we have been hearing these stories for so many years now. You say you have been watching these shows. Other people come up with similar stories. They're not. Some of them say they believe in God. Some of them now believe in Ganesh because of this. Some of them believe in the Mahdi. Some of them believe in Allah. They all believe in all sorts of random things because of experiencing stuff like this. We are not interested in you taking this long of a time and telling us the details of what happened to you. We understand it. They are all the same. How does that get you to God? Where's that part of the conversation?
God revealed himself to me. I saw the face of God.
Right. How do you know that it was God? That's the interesting connection. I'm with you, man. I think you had these experiences.
It was me, Christopher. It was me.
Right.
I have superpower. I was missing.
Why was it not Armin? Okay? How do you know that?
Because I saw things that are not possible, that separate from the event that did actually occur. I read
things
story That the things that occurred, I did not include the God part. I thought I was in shock. I had to go medical check out just to make sure that I wasn't crazy. They said I wasn't, and I had the proof.
It doesn't work like that.
That's good, but hang on a second. You said the claim that you made, Christopher, was that, you know, when Armin said, "Hey man, actually it was me. I was just fucking with you." You said, "No, couldn't have been you, Armin. Had to be a god because the things that I saw were impossible unless it was a god." What things? Just give me one. We don't need a list, just one. And then how do you know that it's impossible to see those without a god? How have you done that work?
I saw, this is not silly. I didn't believe in myself.
Okay.
I saw the kingdom of heaven. God explained to me what he was, his 10th dimensional, all sentient reality.
So why is it not possible to see that unless a god actually exists and is giving you that message? Are you telling me that somebody couldn't have that vision?
Even if there is a God, how do you know it wasn't the devil? I don't know, right? How do you, like, what the hell? You're pre-assuming, like, God. You're like, how do you know it was God? And you say God was explaining these things to me. You're we haven't gotten to the God part yet. You're pre-assuming things.
The reason he doesn't reveal himself to anybody is because that's not part of this exercise that we live in. That faith is kind of the thing about it.
We haven't. You don't know. You're making claims about how God operates. We haven't even gotten to the part that this is a God. You haven't even shown that. You're now making claims about how it operates. You haven't even begun to show that any of the things that you suggest to us that happened shows that this was a God. Here, I give you a better revelation. Okay, you know what? Yesterday, I looked into the sky, okay, and the stars moved, and there were 5 other people with me. They all saw it. It wasn't just me. It wasn't a delusion. We all verified that we're all saying the same thing. The stars moved, and they wrote in the sky that, "Hey, Armin, I am talking to you, not to the 4 or 5 other people right next to you. I want to tell you that you are wrong, and there is a God, and this is me, God, communicating with you right now." And I saw all of that happen. Okay. Do you think that actually? Do you think that witnessing anything like that would actually prove God? How would I know that that's actually God? Just because it said so?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. You haven't.
How would you know?
Higher dimensional thinking. I can't explain it to you. You've never experienced anything that I've experienced. I know it sounds.
Then why are you calling? If you can't explain it, what's the point of calling in?
Yeah, it seems.
The part of the exercise that I'm showing you is that it gives somebody hope. Hey, maybe they believe my story. Maybe faith burns on hope, basically. And that's the idea behind it.
That's actually what faith is. So faith. So basically, this is you have no. I'm actually glad you called in. Do call in, okay? Because you do. Because this is what you're showing us, right? You have no explanation when we ask you why this is God. How do you know that this shows that there's a God? You say, "I can't explain this to you. This is faith." Yes, thank you. Thank you for showing us that what faith is. It's basically believing things without having any explanation or any evidence for it. It is what it is. I'm just going to tell you guys, and do you expect from the listeners or us to just be accepting of this nonsense just because you're saying it without providing any explanation? I witnessed something, therefore God, why? I can't explain it. And you think that should work. If this works on anybody, and you started your call by saying, "I understand everything." You don't seem to understand even the basics of logical reasoning when you expect people to come up with a conclusion without even providing an explanation. Yeah. I don't know how you've been watching this show for this long, and this is what you get out of it.
Yeah, we'll give you a little bit to respond, Christopher.
Thank you. Look, I understand. You cannot. I have the same scientific mind as you. I assure you. I did not believe this immediately. It took weeks of like a bunch of crazy shit. He had to show me things.
It doesn't matter. How does that matter that it took you weeks?
Yeah. If
how do you?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if I may, I think we're just kind of spinning our wheels a little bit here, Christopher. And in part, I think it's because where Armin and I are coming from is a very focused point when it comes to this story, when it comes to this experience. We are absolutely willing to grant fantastical experiences occur on a regular basis. That was what my intro was about. It wasn't made up. I literally woke up this morning going like, holy crap, that was intense. That was an intense ass dream that I had. I have no idea why. I got about the same amount of sleep as I normally do. It wasn't like I was like, eating a shit ton of crazy foods or anything. It's just a normal night, man. It just, my brain, put this shit together for me and it freaked me out a little bit. But that fantastical experience is actually not what's interesting. What's interesting is how we make the connection between that occurrence that I had and then the conclusion that a deity exists or a deity was giving me that. And so because we're kind of coming from a little bit of a different perspective on this, I just don't feel like we're really getting to the meat of it as much as I would like to. But no worries, Christopher, give us a call back. Man, we do this every single week. Same great time, same great channel. And just take the next week and think about what specific about these experiences leads you to the conclusion a God exists, and specifically this God exists. Because I think that will help us understand where you're coming from a little bit more and just be able to dig a little bit further into it, man. So I'm gonna let you go, man. Thank you so much for giving us a call. I do greatly appreciate it. I always love to hear when people have switched from being a non-believer to a believer of some kind, because I always want to know what made you switch, what made that conclusion viable for you. And so far, unfortunately, I have never really gotten a good answer. Go ahead, Armin.
It amazes me that people saying that I was an atheist now that I'm a believer, that adds any weight to their conclusion. If that did add any weight to your conclusion, then people believing in God and now leaving religion and not believing in God, then it should work the other way as well. Yeah. Does it work only in one way? And when you say, like, I didn't take this lightly, I thought about this for weeks. Well, okay, many people thought about leaving religion or belief in God for weeks, and now they're atheists. How does that work out for how does this add to the validity of your argument? Why do you think that works in your favor? It doesn't matter. People spend months, years thinking about something, and they could still come to the wrong conclusion. That adds nothing. Is useless even mentioning that.